As you can tell, I'm not in my normal location. Rather, I'm here at the Superstore on Dougal Avenue because in about 1 hour, actually a little bit less than that, I will be doing the Salvation Army kettlebells, which is something I do every year. I'm actually going to live stream a little bit of the me at the kettles from my personal YouTube channel, youtube.com/Cameron Adamson. That's taking place at at 2 p.m. is when I'm going to start. But in the meantime, I'm just hanging out here, and I figured I'd do a quick YouTube live, not as long as the other ones, just to first of all remind people that I hope that you will check out my live stream on the 20th, where I'll be getting my next Masonic tattoo. I'm going to live stream that just for fun at Advanced Tattoo. And then on on December 20th, I'll be getting the tattoo. December 21st, 24-hour live stream from 2 p.m. December 21st to 2 p.m. December 22nd. So 24 whole hours. It'll be the last 24-hour live stream of 2025, as well as the last 24-hour live stream before Christmas. I am also going to be doing a special members exclusive live stream on Christmas Eve. So both for Patreon exclusive members and YouTube exclusive members, or YouTube members exclusive and Patreon exclusive members. And with all of that in mind, do not forget to check out our Patreon offers. That's all the stuff we got going on. Welcome Linking Atlas. So one more time, the 20th of December, I'm going to be live streaming my tattoo, my next Masonic tattoo, through Advanced Tattoo. That'll be December 20th, probably around 12 to 1 p.m. December 21st, starting at 2 p.m. through to December 22nd at 2 p.m., my next 24-hour live stream. Going to be talking all about my trip to Bogota, Colombia, amongst other things. And then I'm getting ready for some Christmas Eve Patreon and YouTube exclusive, so it's Patreon member and YouTube member exclusive live streams. And then a last reminder, this is your last chance to sign up for Patreon for 2025, and you will be eligible to receive some very special correspondence. Thank you, Linking Atlas, and thank you for all the support. I hope you're doing well. You know, it's interesting. Since today I'm doing the Salvation Army kettle bell ringing, I thought I'd talk about Masonic charity. Hello, Jason. Please hit like and subscribe. You know, Masonic charity is a really interesting idea. I think we in Freemasonry far too often think about charity in terms of giving of money. And don't get me wrong, that can be incredibly important and incredibly valuable. And oftentimes, when it comes to charitable donations, donating money can actually be more effective than donating goods, because the money they can pool and take advantage of economies of scale. Whereas if you donate canned goods, you know, those canned goods are helpful, but they can't be pooled with others in the same way. Having said that, there are a myriad of ways to be charitable. We can be charitable with not just finances. We can be charitable with our time, charitable with our forgiveness, charitable with understanding, charitable with our perspective, charitable with forgiveness, charitable with trying to put ourselves in the shoes of other people, charitable with our perspectives. Hello, Jason. Please hit like and subscribe. Benny Blurk, please hit like and subscribe. Dream Seeker, I am doing well. Colin Sellers, please hit like and subscribe as well. I would also say one thing that we are taught in Freemasonry, which I truly believe, is we are taught in Freemasonry we have responsibility to be charitable both to our brothers and beyond. But in doing so, we have a responsibility to be charitable to the best of our ability. However, I think what we need to remember is when it comes to our ability, we have a responsibility to try and increase our ability to be charitable. That means both A, taking care of ourselves physically so we can then help others. For example, if I didn't take care of myself physically, I would not have the ability to be here today and be volunteering my time for the Salvation Army. If I let myself get sick or get run down or not well rested or was ill, I wouldn't be able to be here to, be charitable with my time. So we have a responsibility to try to increase our abilities as much as we can when it comes to our abilities to be charitable. Again, part of that means taking care of ourselves so we have the physical and mental capacity to be charitable. That also means Spirit of Justice. I'm at the Superstore in Dougal Avenue about to do the Salvation Army kettle bell ringers once again. Ahmad, yes, Masonic Brotherhood indeed. Ahmad, please hit like and subscribe. Daisy, I know I got nice teeth. Please hit like and subscribe. What was I saying about ability? But it also means increasing our knowledge in what type of charitable or what type of services are out there. So for example, one number I always mention is 988, which is a number in both Canada and the United States, which you can call 24 hours a day, toll-free, 7 days a week, if you are having thoughts of self-harm or suicide. And by doing so, so it's important to know that number because let's say somebody calls you or contacts you and advises you that they are thinking of hurting themselves, they're having suicidal thoughts. Obviously and hopefully you can talk to them and ask them how they're doing and talk to them about what's going on. But it's also important you know the resources that you can send them to if for whatever reason you can't talk in that moment. So that's about being charitable. That's about increasing your ability to be charitable by taking the time to know the resources in your area, right? No, and well, Vin, I agree with that. I don't plan to, nor should. I hope nobody does. What I'm saying, though, is know the resources that you can give to people if they're contemplating that. That's an example of being charitable or increasing your ability to be charitable, increasing your ability to help others. No, I'm not depressed, Trevor. But again, I think it's important that we remember and know the numbers and the resources to give to people if they are depressed. Once again, 988. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Well, let's not rob any banks. Well, Daily Rocket, 911 is the number you call if there's an emergency, like a crime happening. 988 is the 24-hour number you call if you need others to be helped, right? Or there's a million different examples of that. I think we as Freemasons should know about the local food banks in our area, right? For the same reason, if you know of a Masonic brother, or you know of a friend, or you know of anybody who is struggling with food insecurity, they either they can't put food on their table, or they don't think they have enough food for them and their families. You could offer them some financial support. You can buy them food if they need it, but it's also valuable to know the location of the food banks in your community so you can send them to get help longer term. It's also good for you, Vin Plesia. That's awesome. It's also really valuable to know the way benevolence works in your Masonic Lodge. So if there is a brother who is struggling financially, and he contacts you for assistance, you can know and understand where to send him or how it goes about requesting benevolence from the Masonic Lodge, how it works, how it operates, how he can get money to hold him over. That's incredibly valuable as well. Vin, don't be sharing too much on this chat. Don't forget, this is not an exclusively Masonic chat. There's Masons and non-Masons on here, so remember, don't be sharing too much. There's a reason we maintain the privacy of our ceremonies. It's important. All right, Vin. Well, I care, so don't be telling them on this stream. Whether you care or not about the Masons, I hope that you will respect me, right? That's what matters. Welcome, Sirius. So going back to what I was saying, though, today I'm engaged in charitable activities. Um, well, I'm not going to, and no one's going to. If you're concerned, Vin, you can call the police. You always should. Having said that, no one is going to be hurting you on this stream. Um, well, I don't have any feet, so keep that in mind. Hello, how's it going? So once again, though, the reason I really wanted to be here today was just to talk about charity. And again, today I'm practicing that Masonic virtue of charity by volunteering for the Salvation Army Kettles. And that got me thinking both about how we as Freemasons should practice charity, and we should recognize charity as being more than simply giving of money. We can and should give money to charity if we can, but that's not the exclusive way to be charitable. We can be charitable with our time. We can be charitable with our forgiveness. We can be charitable with our kindness. We can be charitable with our understanding. We can be charitable with patience. We can be charitable with perspective. There's many different ways to practice charity, and I think we have a responsibility to practice those every day. Even with me with this stream, very often I have to practice charity and charity towards some people in the stream. I mean, there are Masons who are LGBTQ. I met some Masons who are gay. Great parts of the fraternity, but Freemasons themselves, I mean, there are straight Freemasons, gay Freemasons, all different ethnicities, all different races, all different languages, all different politics. There's no single they're not part of any particular community. Rather, Freemasonry welcomes men from all different communities. Hello, Dad. Hello, Sylvietta. Please hit like and subscribe. Yes, all Masons do come from different backgrounds. And then also, it goes to what I was saying, that we have a responsibility to try and increase our ability to be charitable. So I think every Mason should know a few things to help him with his charitable actions. He should, or she, but we'll say he for now, he should know any crisis numbers that a brother or friend can call if they're struggling emotionally, whether it be with thoughts of self-harm or anything else. Know the numbers to call so you can give those to your brothers if they're struggling. Know the location of food banks and shelters. Have a list of brothers in your lodge which have spare bedrooms or spare couches, where if a brother loses his home, let's say he gets divorced, whatever it is, can get help. All right, Vin. Once again, I hope you'll respect me by not talking about Masonic ceremonies on stream. All right? Because that's not what this stream is about. We don't share private Masonic ceremonies. I am not from Minnesota, Cranberry Man. I know I sound that way, but I am not from Minnesota. I'm from Winnipeg, though, which is close. Nobody's after you, Vin, but if you are worried, I think you need to go talk to somebody. I would suggest maybe talking to a doctor or someone to chat with, or if you are feeling like you are being targeted, may I suggest, if you think someone's after you or someone is after you, then you need to talk to the police. I do love rock and roll. Rock and roll is awesome. I also, what was I saying? When it comes to charity and charitable actions, have a list of Masons in your lodge that have a spare bedroom, that have a spare couch, that have a place where a brother can stay. If, let's say, he loses his home, heaven forbid, there's a fire, he gets divorced, whatever it is, make sure that you have that list. So if a brother calls you, hey, my house burned down, heaven forbid, I can't stay in my house for a little while, for whatever reason, you have a list of people he can go to and stay with. And also, with that list, make sure you list not just who has a spare bedroom, but the situation in their house. So, for example, if their spare bedroom is on the second floor and they don't have an elevator, it's just stairs, note that. So, if the brother is older and can't do stairs, um, you're not sending them to a place that can't accommodate them. Um, I'm not calling you crazy, Vin, but I think you need to get some help. There's a difference between being crazy, which I don't think you are, and needing to talk to somebody to get some assistance. I am somebody, even me, I've talked to therapists in the past. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't think I'm crazy, but I've gone to therapy before. Nothing to be ashamed of. Um, it's been a little while, but there is nothing wrong with needing to talk to somebody. Um, XMIZRE. Thoughts on, Freemasonry welcomes men of all different faiths, religions, backgrounds, as well as ethnicities, races. I've sat in lodge with black Freemasons, Asian, European, white, English, indigenous. They're all welcome. They're all my brothers. Um, they are an excellent part of the Masonic fraternity. Um, Magic, it's not about just giving up. It's about going to find someone to talk to. Again, there's no shame in talking to somebody. I've been to therapy in the past. There's nothing wrong with doing it. I think it'd be better if everybody did it, to be perfectly honest. He might be, but he might not be. And again, it goes to this idea of being charitable and being charitable with our understanding. Um, no, XMIZRE. There is no code word that gets you out of trouble. We within Freemasonry are taught, one of the things we're taught is we are to abide by the law. And in fact, we are instructed very early on, and this goes back to the Regius poem of 1590, if I recall it correctly. We are instructed that, if a brother Mason is committing crimes, we are actually supposed to inform the police and inform the authorities, inform the magistrate, inform whomever. We are not to protect any Mason who's committing criminal acts. James, well, the reason you shouldn't tell the secrets is not because anybody will try to harm you, because that's not the case. I've known Masons who've exposed secrets. No one's trying to kill them. They're still walking around. All the secrets are in the internet, right? So, if that were the case, that's not what Freemasonry is about. Freemasonry is not hurting anybody. It's just better you don't, because you took an obligation not to. That's not the same thing as, somebody's going to harm you. I'm not afraid of any Masons trying to harm me, for example. I have no idea who is a bot and isn't a bot. That's my point. It's always possible, unless I met you in person, that it's a bot. That's the danger of the internet, right? One of the scariest things about the internet is that you never know for sure whom you're speaking with. Especially with artificial intelligence, it's terrifying. Right? I think artificial intelligence adds a lot of fear to that. What I can say is talking about charity, giving the benefit of the doubt to people is incredibly important. And I'm going to assume everybody on the stream is not a bot unless I get strong evidence otherwise. Thank you. I don't believe Masons are evil either, because I am one and I'm not evil. Ahmad, I don't think I could help you. I'm from Canada. I'm pretty far away. It's very hard to help people online, but I hope you can find support. Apple Tree, sometimes it is, and I say that. There are times when I've caught on that it's a bot pretty quick, but as a general rule, I try to give the benefit of the doubt that it's a real person on the other side, because, again, there's no way you can know for sure. But you got to be charitable, right? And assume Assume the best. Assume the best in people, even if they're wrong. You can be charitable in your assumptions and assume that they're wrong, but for the right reasons, in that their being wrong is not malicious or cruel, but rather that their incorrectness or the wrongness is coming from a good place. Either they've been misinformed, or maybe it is a mental illness, or maybe they're just struggling a little bit, and it's none of those things, but they're just struggling, going through a hard time, and because of that, they're struggling to find help, which is why I've always said, look, I went to a therapist. I went a couple times. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Doesn't mean you're crazy. Doesn't mean anybody should look down on you. It just means you need some help, and there's nothing wrong with that. Eastern or Western Canada, I was born in the middle. I was born in Winnipeg, which is right in the middle. But then I moved to Windsor, Ontario. I do have people watching and supporting me who I know, and I'm very grateful for them, right? And a lot of them I know are real because I met them in person, or they're Patreon members, or whatever it is. I mean, I'm grateful for everybody who watches. I'm grateful for all the support. I'm just saying, online, it's always a risk that you're going to deal with bots. That's just the risk you take with being on YouTube. And there's also always the risk you're going to be dealing with people who are trolls or kind of mean, like whoever it is, William 5966 saying I have a gay mouth. Whatever. If you're going to be on YouTube, you have to deal with that. That's an example of being charitable with your patients, right? Being charitable with your patients and being charitable with your, being charitable with yourself and with others, and not taking things personally. Well, Vin probably knows me through YouTube, right? And being a Mason and watching me, because he has been here in the past. Like, I've seen the username previously. I don't believe I know him personally, although I travel around so much, who knows? I'm very blessed and lucky that I'm able to travel as often as I do. 5966, I was not, but you can hit the like and subscribe button, and I would greatly appreciate it. So one more time, we as Masons have a responsibility to be charitable. The responsibility to be charitable, not simply and exclusively with our money, but with our time, with our patience, with our forgiveness, with our understanding, with our perspective. Try to put ourselves in the perspective of other people. We have a responsibility to be charitable in a myriad of ways. We also, and with money as well, Robert, certainly with money, but not exclusively with money. We also have a responsibility, to the best of our skill and abilities, to improve our ability to be charitable. And that comes in a variety of different ways. Part of that means being charitable, or part of that means taking care of ourselves so we can be charitable. For example, I'm here today volunteering at the Salvation Army Christmas Kettle, at the Salvation Army Superstore, at the Salvation Army Kettle at the Dougal Avenue Superstore. The reason I can do that is because I feel good, I'm healthy, and I have the time and the health to be here for the day. If I wasn't taking care of myself, if I was sick, if I was ill, if I wasn't trying to maintain my health, maybe I couldn't be here today and do this volunteer work. So part of being charitable means having the ability, means protecting ourselves so we're healthy enough in order to be able to give of our time. It also means taking the time to know about resources in our communities. Like I said, I think every Mason should know the numbers to call if somebody's struggling in any way, shape, or form. For example, 988, if you're struggling with thoughts of self-harm, 24 hours free of charge. It also means knowing about local resources and lodge resources. Know how it works to receive benevolence in your lodge. Know which members can support a brother with a spare bedroom, a spare bed if they lose their home. Know where the food banks are in your community for brothers struggling with food insecurity. Have the resources available. or know the resources that you can provide. I would also mention, it's very valuable and worth mentioning in terms of charity. You can also be charitable after you pass away, um, by organ donation. This is just me speaking exclusively for myself. I would recommend every Mason consider being an organ donor. I'd also recommend every Mason consider donating blood. And also, you can be charitable in your will, both to your lodge or to the community at large. So, I guess my point is there's a lot of different ways that we as Freemasons can practice charity. Um, and there's a lot of ways that we can increase our ability to practice charity. And we have a responsibility to do both. Um, RHI 471, please hit like and subscribe. By the way, RHI 471, even if you can't volunteer in physical roles, I do like what you say there. I wish I could volunteer in more physical roles like that, but I've recently knighted your mission. But just because you can't volunteer in more physical roles doesn't mean you can't volunteer in other ways. Like you could volunteer to be, work at a crisis line. You could send money to different charities. You could even just volunteer to sit and get a coffee with a friend and talk about how they're doing. All that stuff is an example of being charitable, either with your time, your money, or a combination thereof. Thank you, Rando. Yes, it's the camera size. Um, I'll take it. By the way, everybody watching this, please hit like and subscribe. I would truly appreciate it. Bob, there's not a lot I can do to help you. I'm here, on YouTube in Canada, but I do hope you find the help that you need. Yes, I got a really long head. You can hit the like and subscribe button. Blue YT, I was born in the 80s. That's about as much as I'm going to say. I was born in the 80s. All right, guys, I'm going to be... Okay, if you can, 471, that's awesome. It's not about chickening out. It's just about doing the best you can. That's what matters the most. Just do the best you can. All right, guys, I'm going to be ending this stream because I still have to grab some food. Thank you, Rando. I got to grab some food, and then I got to volunteer for the Salvation Army. When I'm volunteering with the Salvation Army, I will be live streaming from my personal account. So one more time, there are many ways that we as Freemasons can be charitable, and it's very important that we try to be as charitable as we can be. We shouldn't focus exclusively on being charitable in a monetary fashion, but we should try to be charitable in as many different ways as we can. We have a responsibility to increase our skill and ability as it relates to being charitable by knowing more resources, caring for ourselves, and increasing our ability to help others. And know the resources both in your lodge and in your community to do that. And we should also consider being charitable with our physical selves through, for example, blood donations or organ donations after death. Blue YT, I'm trying to be charitable to you, but you're being challenging. And I'm ending the stream now. Thank you guys so much for being here. I hope everybody hit the like button and subscribe button. I'll be back on at 1 a.m. Everybody have an excellent day.